You can feel it when you walk into a room and the air changes, when a conversation pauses half a second too long, when your name is mentioned and then suddenly everyone is fine. It's not imagination, and it's not a compliment either. It's the weight of being observed without being understood, the strange pressure of knowing that people are tracking your moves while you're just trying to survive your days with your faith intact. And what makes it heavier is that you don't even know who is watching most of the time, or why your ordinary choices seem to matter so much to them. When all eyes are on you, the first instinct is to assume you did something wrong. You replay your words, you shrink yourself, you try to soften your presence so you don't invite more attention. You start thinking your loneliness is a punishment, that your repeated setbacks mean you've been abandoned, that the silence from people you trusted is proof you're not worth loyalty. But there's another possibility that's harder to accept because it doesn't flatter you and it doesn't excuse you. Allah might be training you through exposure, not elevating you above others, but refining you until you can stand steady without needing anyone's applause or anyone's approval. This kind of attention is a test because it tempts you to live for the watchers. You begin to measure yourself by their reactions, and the heart becomes restless, like it's tied to strings in other people's hands. Even your worship can get contaminated, not because you want to show off, but because you become desperate for a sign that you're still safe. You look for reassurance in messages, in praise, in being included, in someone choosing you. And when that reassurance doesn't come, the mind starts negotiating with doubts. Maybe I should lower my standards, maybe I should compromise, maybe I should stop being so serious, maybe I should just blend in and let my faith be private. That negotiation is exactly where the test bites. There is a hidden pain in being watched. You don't get to be messy in public. People expect you to break in a certain way, and when you don't, they interpret your calm as arrogance, your restraint as weakness, your quiet as guilt. They mistake your saber for coldness. They mistake your boundaries for pride. They don't see the nights when you're alone, the moments when you sit on the edge of your bed and whisper, Ya Allah, I'm trying. And the only answer you receive is the steady demand to keep going anyway. If this is landing somewhere personal, you can leave a gentle like on the video so more people who feel unseen in their struggle find it too. Here is what most people never consider. Being watched by people is not the main issue. Being watched by Allah is the one who sees you when no one claps, the one who hears the private thoughts you hide behind a steady face, the one who knows whether your patience is genuine or performative, whether your prayers are a refuge or a routine. Some eyes are filled with envy, some with suspicion, some with curiosity. But Allah's sight is not like theirs. His watching is not a threat. It is accountability mixed with mercy. It is the quiet supervision that prevents you from becoming the kind of person who collapses the moment attention fades. Now compare two reactions. One person feels watched and immediately performs. They become loud, defensive, constantly explaining themselves, hunting for validation, posting their victories, hinting at their suffering, proving they are fine, proving they are strong. Their life becomes a courtroom, and every day they are building a case for themselves. Another person feels watched and does the opposite. They return to discipline. They stop arguing with strangers in their head. They stop narrating their pain to people who don't carry it with care. They keep their character consistent in private and public because they've learned a hard truth. The watchers are not the judges, and no amount of performance can buy peace. The second person still feels the pressure, but they channel it into sincerity, and that changes everything. There is a concrete scene that captures this. Imagine you're at work or in school, and you overhear your name in a hallway. The tone is not openly hostile, just careful, like they're discussing you as an idea rather than a human being. You walk into the room, and someone smiles a little too brightly, asks a question they don't really want answered, watches your response more than they listen. And in that moment, you can feel a fork in the road inside you. One path is to tighten up, become sharp, prove you're not to be played with, carry your irritation like a weapon. The other path is quieter. You answer with dignity, you do your task with excellence, and you refuse to poison your heart with assumptions. You make wudu when you get home, you pray, and you hand the outcome to Allah with tawakkul, not because you're passive, but because you refuse to let other people rent space in your spirit. But let's complicate it, because not every watcher is an enemy, and not every discomfort is spiritual. Sometimes people watch you because they're trying to learn what you know. Sometimes they watch because your stability makes them wonder what they've been missing. Sometimes they watch because your refusal to collapse exposes their own fragility, and that can make them defensive without them even realizing it. And sometimes you are simply in an environment where gossip is the local currency and everyone pays with someone else's name. The test is not to become paranoid, not to turn yourself into a hunted creature, but to become discerning. You protect your boundaries without becoming cruel, and you keep your heart clean without becoming naive. This is where the counterexample matters. There are people who are deeply righteous in private and almost invisible in public. They are not watched, not discussed, not targeted, and it's not because Allah loves them less or because they are doing something wrong. Their test is different. They may struggle with motivation, with hidden sins, with loneliness that isn't dramatic enough for anyone to notice. So if you are being watched, don't turn it into a badge. It's simply the shape of your trial right now. The point is not that you are special. The point is that your choices have consequences, and Allah is using attention, wanted or unwanted, to polish your sincerity until you can stand without needing a crowd. There is also the one watching that people rarely talk about because it doesn't fit the drama. Your own soul. The way you talk to yourself when you feel exposed, the way you justify small compromises, the way you secretly hope to be understood by people who have never tried to understand anyone. That inner watcher can be harsher than any enemy and more exhausting than any gossip. So, here is a question worth sitting with, and you can answer it in the comments if you want to make this personal and real. When you feel watched and misunderstood, what is the first habit you return to? Prayer, silence, distraction, or confrontation? By the time you reach this point in the test, you start noticing something strange. The watchers don't actually know you. They know fragments, moods, moments, and rumors, but they don't know the private battles you win without telling a soul. They don't know the temptation you walked away from when nobody would have caught you. They don't know the charity you gave quietly, the apology you made first, the tongue you held back when you could have destroyed someone with a few sentences. And Allah knows. That's the quiet strike at the end of it all. Their watching is limited. His knowledge is complete. So let them watch. You are not here to manage their opinions. You are here to protect your heart, to keep your character intact, and to meet Allah with a soul that did not break just because people were looking.